Based on your experience, what motivates people to fall into drug addiction?
There are like several reasons people get into drug addiction. There can be like personality disorders, there can be like household environment, family dysfunctionalities. So there are like multiple reasons. They actually find it as a coping mechanism. Always there are two sort of coping mechanisms. One is healthy coping mechanism and the other one is unhealthy coping mechanism. Like if a person is feeling distress and they feel like there's no solution for the problem they have, what they do is they find the unhealthy coping mechanism, because actually that is actually coping, but in an unhealthy way. Whatever stressors they are feeling, they feel like they're not feeling anymore. So after using the drugs.
Right. And what do you, like, based on your experience, what are the consequences, like both like when they are into drug addiction and even when like they're out of it? So how does it affect their life overall?
When they get into drug addiction, in our culture, social stigma is attached with drug addiction, and no one socially accepts them, and they feel themselves very low, their self-esteem shattered, and they don't consider themselves any good. Then what happens when they go for professional help, and when the mental health professional give them the unconditional positive regard, they feel good about themselves. This actually motivates them to work on themselves, because the family doesn't understand them. They just blame the person. In the beginning, drug addiction is a choice. After several stages, it becomes a disease, and disease is not in control of a person. So this is how we are helpless over our addictions. When the person becomes addicted to drugs, they definitely need professional help.
That's very helpful. And briefly, I would like to take your insight about this legal drugs thingy, and like nowadays people, like young people, use nicotine pouches and vapes. So what is your take on that?
Yeah, like somehow they are like considered legal drugs just because they have less severe consequences than the other drugs, which are illicit drugs, such as opioid or cannabis, which actually induces psychosis as well. Alternatively, they use the legal drugs, which are less harmful, and they use it as a coping mechanism.
What's your personal opinion? Like, do you prefer that youngsters they use it or not? It's a difficult question.
Yeah. People come to me when they are in the recovery. There is this patient I'm seeing nowadays. Actually, he was like addicted to cannabis, and he was using cannabis for a very long time, for like 8 or 10 years. And what happened? Cannabis induced his psychosis. He was having schizophrenia after using the cannabis. So now he's recovered. The only motivation he has not to take the cannabis is that cannabis can cause schizophrenia. And now he's actually taking permission from me that if he can use alcohol, because like for a very long time he has been into drugs, and every activity was attached with the drug use. And now he doesn't feel like doing anything. He's not studying, he's not like moving on with life, he's not doing all the pleasurable activities he used to do.
So this leads to the last question, solutions. So since we see that many people are they're equally involved in illegal drugs and legal drugs, so according to you, what are some effective solutions? How can we help people to come out of this drug addiction, either legal or illegal?
Since drug addiction is psychological and physical disease, because the body is totally dependent on drugs we are using. So the treatment modality we follow is, we always advise the person who is actually struggling with drug addiction that they cannot fight with drug addiction alone. They definitely need help. So we advise them to take professional help, and with the professional help, they don't feel themselves alone in fighting that journey. And with that, they feel the acceptance from the people around, from the therapist. So what they do is, like, we advise people to seek professional help, and if they do that and put their 100% effort into that, then I believe that they can overcome addiction.
Thank you so much, sir. It's so helpful.